14 WILI and 95.3 FM presents Hometown Threads, a closer look at our community and the people that make it go. Every week, you'll hear uplifting stories from our local businesses and our neighbors. Now, here's our host for Hometown Threads, Keith C. Rice.
And here we go with episode 41 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. And we have a special guest. We'll get to him in just a sec. You may recognize him, or you'll definitely recognize his voice from back in the day. Hometown Threads comes your way, courtesy of our friends at Liberty Bank. Be community kind with 3 great local locations: West Main Street, Willimantic, Gateway Commons, across the street from the radio station, 679 Main Street, and Route 195 in Mansfield. Liberty Bank, be community kind. J. Matt Rupar, if you wouldn't mind, say hello to the fine folks.
Hello.
Here we go, episode 41. For those of you who are still not familiar or just new to the show, hard to believe, we're coming up on our 1-year anniversary of Hometown Threads. Kicked it off last November, the middle of the month. Of course, Dad, that was episode 1. So it's coming up on 1 year old. It's a 25-minute show, runs 5:05 to 5:30 Tuesdays on WILI, and then you can catch the video on Willimantic Today Facebook. Usually it goes up Wednesday, and I share it off my Keith C. Rice Facebook page, so you can check it out anytime on Willimantic Today.
See me in high definition. Every freckle and wart, better than the horror movie.
But we bring in, on Hometown Threads, we bring in not only family business owners or business owners, we bring in people from the community, like this gentleman to my right. Yeah. And his name is Henry Paulus, better known as the Doctor. He's been called Dr. H, and what else have you been called, Henry?
I don't think we can say that on the air.
He's always... Oh, it's great to have...
I don't think the FCC allows that kind of language. Yeah. Not even on cable.
It's great to have the Doc back in here. He spent many years... I spent many years learning from him when I started at WILI as a teenager. You know, not only Wayno may have hired me, but Doc, I'm sure, showed me the board at my my early age, and because before Doc took off of that very popular Saturday show, which we'll get into, which I am honored to now have taken the reins. Yeah. You were doing what I was doing when I started, and that was running the board for you did it overnights for Larry King.
I call myself the utility infielder.
Henry Paulus, better known as the Doctor, is a longtime WILier. He started here. What year did you start at WILI?
1977.
1977. So I was 5. Now.
Yeah, the Great New York Blackout. The same week.
The same week. So here's another thing about Henry, the Doctor. I don't. I'll just call you the Doc from here on out.
Yeah. He used to run the Larry King show.
That's how I'll go down that road first. Matt, I don't know if Matt's been with us for a while, since 2009, so you got to know Henry as well.
Yes.
This is how I came across the Doc at a very young age, and my dad will probably tell the story better than me. I was probably at the age of 8, 9, or 10, very curious, even though you started at 5, so this is probably, you're about 5 or 6 years into working at WILI, and this wasn't at 720 Main Street, it was at 948, which is now Stone Row Kitchen and Bar. Yeah. I remember, my parents would be, we're driving down Main Street late at night, and I'd make them stop in front of the big windows of the radio station, and I'd see you, because you were there probably after 11 o'clock at night, and I'd always ask my parents, who's that? And they'd say, that's Dr. H, that's Henry. He runs the board for the Larry King show overnight. And that got me into listening to Larry King. So Henry, that's how he started. Now, when you were hired in 1977, refresh my memory, and I know you will, were we taking Larry King in 77, or when did we start taking Larry King?
79.
So 79. So in those first 2 years at WILI, from 77 to 79, before you started running the board for Larry King, what were you hired to do?
I was pretty much keeping us on the air for a couple hours after we used to sign off. Remember when radio stations signed off?
Yeah.
Remember when TV stations signed off?
So you would, they hired you just to make sure everything was all right after, what time did WILI sign off back then?
Just played a national anthem and...
About 11, 12 o'clock? Was it midnight or was it 11 o'clock?
It was usually about 2 in the morning.
Oh, 2 in the morning. Now WILI signs off whenever it feels like it during the day, right, Matt?
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. So anyway, so you were in charge of that, and then it had to be in that 2-year span where WILI decided to go, 24/7, right?
Yeah,
So what was that, between 77 and 79, somewhere in
Yeah.
that time frame?
that was when Larry King started.
So 79, Larry King starts. You are officially hired as the board op, or as the
Yeah.
run the board for. That means when we say board op for you non-radio people, they. Well, go ahead, Henry. You explain what you did.
I ran all the twisted the dials and moved the levers, and
Yeah. So
put the carts in the cart machine.
that's right. Back then we had cart machines. Everything's digital now. So Larry, Henry, the doctor would run local spots during Larry King. He'd even come on and crack the mic, do the weather at the top
I
of
was
the
even
hour.
the first person on I-98.
That's right. We'll get into that. Oh my goodness! Too bad the show only goes 25 minutes. I forgot about that. But let's go back to your early days running Larry King.
Yeah.
You and I always talk about this. I was always so fat. Larry always had weird callers in the overnight, huh?
Well, the way the Larry King show was set up, the first 3 hours were always with the guest, because the first 3 hours we rerun as the last 3 hours on the West Coast. The 3 o'clock to 5 o'clock portion was always Open Phones America,
That's right.
and they'd always get very strange phone calls.
And this is how I got into radio, listening to Henry, the doctor, run Larry King. My father put a radio right by my bed at the age of 10, 11, or 12, and I would hear these weird callers that would call Larry King, God rest his soul. And the Portland Laugher was one character. I'd sit there, Doc, I would be freaked out. I'd be laying in bed as a 10-year-old going, who's this person calling from across the country to this guy Larry King? But they were all like stage bits, obviously, right? These people, you think they were stage bits? Or these are actual live? Well, yeah, they were live callers.
Yeah.
But Larry knew, he had names for certain.
Yeah, they let him know. There was a producer on the show site who would clear the calls, tell them where they were calling from,
Okay,
and they didn't know who was calling.
so
They
Portland
didn't know
Laugher.
what they were going to say, because that's why there were so many old ladies with bad poetry.
He had those call in too.
Yeah,
Oh man, see, Larry King, he passed away a few years ago, an absolute legend, and I read his books too. But it was the doctor and Henry, the doctor and Larry, and of course Wayno that really got the ball rolling for me here at WILI. But let's get back to so you did Larry King. And what year did he stop doing overnights again? Was it like 87, 80?
about 87. Yeah,
And then he went over to CNN, did primetime, 9 to midnight, and I think he did both for a while. I think he did radio and TV for a while. Then he went all TV, and I think that's when we stopped carrying Larry King.
he did a show for one of those strange little cable channels
Yeah.
or digital channels
He went more
called
TV.
Larry King Today.
Yeah, he was.
Larry King Now,
And you sometimes
because it's on Bing.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Okay, it's on Bing. And sometimes you'd see him behind home plate at Dodger Stadium. He loved his Dodger baseball.
Yeah.
So, all right, let's move past Larry King. What you were really known for in this community and on WILI for years was that wildly popular. And I moved away for a while, but every time I come back, I put you on the weekend.
Yeah.
That Saturday morning show, you got it off the ground, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
And what was it called? Tell us about that.
Well, it started as Saturday morning 60s. And it was just strictly 1960s music, 1960 to 1969. And it's amazing how much famous music came out in just that 10-year period.
And was this...
And I didn't just do the top 10 hits either. I used to like to go into the catalog, do the entire top 40.
And I would see, back in my early days at I-98, down the street, our sister station, down the hall, I should say, I would see Henry come in weeknights. This is how much work he put into it. He'd come in with all these CDs, and he'd be in our production room for hours, just getting ready for his Saturday show. It could be Tuesday night, and he'd be getting ready for his Saturday show. And let me back up.
Yeah.
Did Wayne approach you and say, we'd like you to do a Saturday show? How was it Dave Evan? Who asked you to do the Saturday show?
Wayne.
Okay, so Wayne, there was nothing going on Saturday mornings?
Yeah, no.
And he asked you, hey, would
Ron
you...
Carson was leaving, and
Oh, Ron did it first. Or
Yeah.
Ron was just doing a Saturday show.
Yeah.
And you took it
was-
over.
yeah.
Okay.
And basically it was just, originally I was just sticking to the format that we had all week, and it was boring. So I started putting in more oldies.
And you know what, Henry?
Yeah.
Doc. I keep saying I want to keep calling him Doc, but I call him Henry. His real name's Henry. I know he responds to both. But I will say this: that was a great move on your part, because you're right. During the week, that's what separates WILI with the music they play. You know, we play usually. We used to play mainly 80s during the week, but on Saturdays, this is what it's 50s, 60s, 70s. I know you started with 60s, but people love the wide range of music that we play on Saturdays. But you're the one who got that going as far as making the music decision. There,
Yeah,
right?
about 1980. Was it 1990?
No, we're in the 90s now. I think I don't know when I forgot.
1980. No, it was sometime during the 1980s. I added the 1970s sets, and it became Saturday Solid Gold.
With the Doctor, right?
Yeah.
So how did you incorporate your name in there? Was it called Saturday Morning 60s with the Doctor?
Yeah.
And then you just incorporated Solid Gold when you expanded it to the 70s.
Yeah, and then toward the end I had even started adding the 80s.
Yes, we sprinkle a little 80s in now. So that's what makes this show so special. And
it used to be from the Angels to the Zombies and everything in between.
See?
Then it became ABBA to ZZ Top and everything in between.
It's amazing because, as you just said, you know all week on WILI, you don't get any of that specialty music. It's good stuff, but we as we like to say, we crank up the Wayback Machine on Saturdays, and from 6 until noon, it's Saturday Solid Gold. But Doc, you're responsible for really making that shift in music there. Now we should also mention that you probably, do you remember what year Ron left and you took that over? Sometime in the 90s, right? Okay,
No, it was sometime in the 80s.
Are you sure it was the 80s? No, Ron wasn't here in the 80s. I think he was here in the 90s.
No,
But
no, I think it was here in the 80s.
okay,
So
so
that's Wayne.
you took over that Saturday show. That was yours.
Yeah, I remember. It really wasn't that interesting because I was trying to continue what was going on during the week, and we had a lot more people here then.
Yes, we did.
I remember one morning I just felt so fed up with the music. I just said, I played "My Heart Will Go On" by Celine Dion.
You did not. Did you really?
Yeah, and then I said, "There's that song by that singer from that movie." Everybody knew what it was,
And we got to mention because after you had moved on from doing that show, a lot of people jumped in. I know Glenn O'Brien took a turn with that show. Johnny G, who's moved to Florida, and then when Johnny left, there's really nobody. I figured I'm going to jump in there and do it because I know how popular it is, and it's all because of you making that shift in music. And the people that just come up to us and say, "I love that." The music you guys play on Saturday mornings. It's all credit to you, Doc.
Yeah.
We got to mention, I mention him every Saturday, Lincoln Phillips, who sadly passed away a couple years ago.
Yeah.
I do that show in memory of him. You guys were partners here on Saturday mornings, right? You
Yeah.
want to say a few words about Link?
Yeah. Oh, I miss Lincoln so much because he wasn't initially the news person I worked with on Saturday morning. That was Lauren Sabasio.
That's right. Lauren was here, yeah.
But she left, and he returned because he had been doing it previously. And we became a team.
You got any good Link stories off the top of your head?
Yeah.
Didn't you like Nancy Sinatra? He's a big Nancy Sinatra
Oh,
fan.
yeah. Every time I wanted to get to him, I just show him the picture from the booklet in the Nancy Sinatra CD.
These boots are made for walking.
Yeah.
But Lincoln Phillips, God rest his soul.
Yeah.
You guys were, I'd say, probably a good couple decades. You and Lincoln were together, attached to the hip at this doing the Saturday show.
Yeah, because he eventually, whenever I filled in for Wayne, he was filling in for Mike.
What was your favorite thing about doing the Saturday show? Because I mentioned you come in during the week and do a ton of show prep. What was the thing you enjoyed doing the most about, along with playing the music? Like you had little features during that show, right?
Yeah. Well, toward the last year, I had added the Novelty Nook.
The Novelty Nook.
At
What's that?
8:30, at 8:30, following Lincoln's show, that's where Paul Harvey used to be.
Well, following Lincoln's news, there was Paul Harvey, right?
Yeah, I wanted something special there because Paul Harvey used to be there.
That's right.
So I used to, and also the novelty song. Too many novelty songs are coming up in the regular show, and that people pretty strange about novelty songs. Some of them just don't get them.
Now, when you say novelty, like, give us a good example of a song.
All right, Guitar Zam by Ray Stevens.
Okay.
Um,
You'd have a different one every Saturday, right?
yeah, and sometimes it wasn't even necessarily a hit. For instance, on Donald Duck's birthday, I played the DuckTales theme.
You never know what you
And
hear.
I usually follow it up by saying, where does he get this stuff?
And I got to tell you, my parents too. Like I, in certain years when I didn't live here, I come home on weekends. They'd have you blasting as not just my parents, but other people. My father-in-law, for crying out, still talks about you to this day, saying, you know, he asked how you were. We actually hung out back on Saturday.
Yeah.
And you really. You laid the groundwork for that Saturday show, and I'll never do you justice because you're great with that. So,
I love most of it. I love putting it together. I love doing it. I love playing the music.
oh yeah, that's why as I said, I'd be doing no matter what shift on I-98, and here comes the doc. It could be 2:00 in the afternoon. He's going to work on his Saturday show. So you were in there for hours, and you could tell you loved what you did.
Yeah.
So our guest here on episode 41 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI. 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook is the doc, Henry Paulus, who has spent decades here at WILI. I learned a lot from him as well. And he's telling us about that wildly popular Saturday show he did. And, of course, he started out running the board for Larry King. I want to know, all your years here at WILI, first of all, what was, name some of the people that you enjoyed working with over the years here at WILI.
Oh, Denise Bellamy.
Denise is first, okay. Well, I know it's no particular order, but...
Paul Christopher.
That's right. Whatever happened to him? Boy, he had a
He's
great
running
voice.
a boys' school in
Is he?
Weathersfield, I think.
Okay, great voice, Paul Christopher, yeah.
I knew Frank Walker, not Welker.
Oh, rest in peace. Yeah, he was a legend. I thought you were going to name another Christopher there. Mark Christopher?
Oh, yeah, Mark the
Sharky?
Shark.
Sharky still comes up here all the
Yeah.
time, yeah.
Mark the Shark.
Oh, before I forget, we'll get back to names in a second. You brought this up. I totally forgot about this. You were the first person to crack the mic at I-98.3?
Yeah.
Please tell that story.
Well, it was about a week before it officially signed on.
1985.
And I had been in there in the FM studio to practice.
Because you're an overnight guy, and you were, yeah.
Because it was a weird thing. I would be running both Larry King and FM at the same time.
This is back when Henry could really move it. He was going back and forth down the hall.
Well, it wasn't. I didn't have to do that because we had a button on the FM board that we could press, and I could run Larry King from FM.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So what now? Go ahead about what you cracked the mic. Get into that
Yeah,
story.
I had been practicing, and Dave Evan, who was the general manager and program director then, he says, "Go on the air. Why not?"
That's awesome. So what did you say? Do you remember what you said?
Yeah. Let's try it out. Hear how it sounds.
So do you remember what you said when you cracked the mic at I-98?
I said, "Oh, help!"
You did not. But this is how the name Dr. H came about.
Yeah.
Was it Pete Nichols or Mark gave it to you?
Mark the Shark.
Okay, so Mark the Shark, Sharky gave you the name
Yeah.
Dr. H.
Yeah.
And you were part of that, you were part of the FM air staff for a while.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing all the jocks, Pete, actually before Pete was Lee Cameron. Remember Lee
Yeah.
Cameron?
I do some stuff with Pete, some shtick with Pete too.
That's right, tell us
That's
about
part
that.
of his
You
morning
did some
zoo.
shticks with Pete?
Yeah.
Tell us a little about
Soap
that.
on a rope. What I do is read soap opera synopses and interject with these weird old radio bits that we had on
Oh
record.
my God. What other things did Pete, yeah, that's right, Pete did use you for bits. What other bits did you,
Yeah.
did he use you for?
It was a parody of the old Current Affair TV show with Maury Povich.
Well, don't tell me you were Maury. Were you Maury?
No.
Okay. So that's great. Pete used you for things. And don't forget Pete's wife, Susie,
Yeah.
was middays for a while.
Yeah.
So I'm going to see if I can name the original staff of I-98.3.
Yeah.
Well, I know Lee Cameron started before Pete. It might have even been somebody before Lee. But I think it went...
Somebody before Lee, it was a black guy who was really burnt out. I
Yeah.
can't remember his name.
Pete, Susie, Jeff Spencer. Remember the name
Yeah, I
Jeff
remember
Spencer,
him.
who's the program director. He was afternoons. Mark the Shark was
Yeah.
the original night guy.
Yeah.
And then we get into and then it was you running the board in the overnight. Oh wait,
Yeah.
was there a 10 to 2? Was
Yeah.
there was there
It
someone
was-
after Mark?
Yeah, I started at 2:00 in the morning.
Right, but who was on 10 to 2? Like after Mark? Was there
Wayne Schmidt.
that? Well, no, it was before Wayne, I think. Was it Bob Smead?
Yeah.
I think it was Bob Smead. Max Holiday.
Oh yeah, who else was there? AJ Hammer was
AJ
there.
Hammer, we gotta bring-
very briefly. I think it was only for a few months.
AJ Hammer. Now again, I just started at the old station 948. AJ Hammer used to be a VJ on VH1. Right? And he worked at 95.5 PLJ, no longer exists in New York City, which is now K-Love.
Oh, someone else who was on.
But AJ Hammer would drive up from New York City to work weekends here at I-98 and I-98.3 in Willimantic.
And now he's doing, I think, Access Hollywood.
Yeah, I think he's got to be, I'm sure he's still on TV somewhere.
I used to look at him and I think, what are you doing in radio?
But he had-
with a face like yours, you should be on TV.
Yeah, and he turned out he was on TV a lot. He had New York plays, but he did work full-time during the week at TIC FM in Hartford. So yeah, good call on AJ Hammer. But those are some great days. Go ahead, name some other people. Remember Brian
Mark
Lapis?
Sudol.
Mark Sudol.
Oh, I gotta tell you,
I still stay in touch with Sudol. He's hilarious.
One weekend, Ron Carson and I went up to Canada.
Ron Carson, a former afternoon guy here at
To
WILI.
see,
You drove to Canada?
to see a hockey game
Okay.
and play the casino in Montreal.
You and Ron said get in the car. Let's go to see a Montreal Canadiens hockey game.
Yeah,
Now you and Ron hung out for a while.
yeah. Everybody should experience hockey night in Canada at least once.
You know what? I'm jealous. I've never had. That sounds like I've heard that's a great experience. Then you
it is.
drove right back after
Yeah.
the game.
Well, what it was the first night we had stayed overnight in a little motel, and I turned on the TV, Channel 5 in New York, Plattsburgh, WPTZ,
I know where you're going. Yeah.
and the sports report came on, and there was Mark Sudol.
And that was around the
And
time.
I started, oh my God, it's Mark Sudol. I used to follow him on I-98.
Sudol was, and so him and I still
Yeah.
text, and he'll be thrilled that you mentioned him because
Yeah.
he's a great guy. He's working for News 12 in Stamford now, or
Yeah.
is that where News 12 is? It's down in that part of
I
Connecticut.
think that's in Waterbury.
Yeah, down in that neck of the woods. But yeah, we still text every now and then. Mark Sudol, what actor, Henry, Doctor, did he remind you of? I know you're going to come on.
Jim Carrey.
So Mark Sudol's a few years older than me, and boy, did he had the mannerisms back in the day. Still kind of does that Jim Carrey look. And he was a very funny guy. I remember going on back when WILI used to have Red Sox trips. Remember, Mark, as I just said, Mark has got to be about 5 years older than me. He had me in stitches the whole trip up to Fenway during the game. I couldn't even watch things. He had me laughing so hard. And then back. And remember Ken Carson, it was the three of us that day. Ken Carson, not Ron Carson. Ken Carson, Mark
Had a lot of
Sudol, and
Carsons
myself.
here.
Yeah, a lot of Carsons. But the three of us just couldn't stop laughing.
Yeah.
But so many memories over the years here at WILI.
There was that
you-
Christmas record I made with Ken Blivin.
Oh, I wish we'd go ahead.
Oh,
we have
just
a
miss
couple.
Ken Blivin
We have
so much.
rest in peace, Ken Blivin, Dave Tom, along with Lincoln Phillips and Frank Walker. We got to mention some of the. I know I probably left out some of the great.
Dan Hayden?
Did Dan Hayden pass away?
No.
Okay, but some of the people that have worked, who did great work here over the years that have passed on.
Yeah.
But in your remaining minutes, Henry, we have to wrap things up. Unfortunately, we could go on and on and on. It was great to hang out with you, spend a little time with you Saturday, and thanks for coming on Hometown Threads. Any final words about some memories here at WILI? People you'd like to thank before we wrap it up?
Well, I'd like to thank Wayne Norman and David Evans for putting up with me. And I'd like to thank Paul Christopher for showing me the ropes.
He was okay. He trained you, all right.
And Ron Carson for getting me out in the public more. Yeah.
Well, Doctor.
Oh, there's so many people I can think of.
Now
John Tewitt, of course.
John Tewitt is still here. Yeah.
Yeah. In fact, John Tewitt started as a fill-in for me on Larry King Show.
Did he really?
Yeah, he do it once a week when I was
I didn't know Tuitt did that. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And so did Denise.
They all. So when you couldn't do the overnight board op for Larry King, they filled in.
Yeah.
So they got their feet wet at the station. Okay.
Doug Banning did for a while.
Wow. Now, I'll see.
Yeah.
I tell you, you can remember, and when Henry and I spent a little time Saturday, he was mentioning all these old shows, and Henry's like an encyclopedia when it comes to pop culture, TV shows. And one thing...
I've been around long enough I can remember most.
I remember one thing, I know we got to wrap things up, Matt, that one thing sticks out in my mind among many things when it comes to Henry the Doctor. You knew all the cable channels by heart. He knew not only the cable channels, he knew he knew what time a certain show was playing.
Yeah.
It was like you didn't need a TV guide or a directory. You had the doc.
Yeah.
So you've played a big part in my life. It's great to have him here on Hometown Threads.
I don't know what's on cable too much.
When you see him out in Walmart or out and about, give him a high five. Just he has his walker, so be careful. Don't give him a wild high five.
My arm doesn't go up that high anymore.
He's still getting around, and it's great to get him on the air every now and then. Guest for episode 41 of Hometown Threads on 14 WILI 95.3 FM and Willimantic Today Facebook. Henry the Dr. Paulus, thank you so much. Give us, before we officially wrap things up, give us a little like a weather forecast and how you would do it coming out of Larry King or going back into Larry King.
Let's see, whose forecast?
Norm
Norm MacDonald's forecast for this morning. Mostly sunny, highs in the mid-40s. For tonight, mostly sunny, mostly clear, lows in the mid-30s. For tomorrow, partly sunny again, highs in the mid-50s. Currently, it's 51 degrees at 5:30, and this is WILI Willimantic.
Love it. Thank you, Henry. Thank you for Liberty Bank. Be community kind. Thank you to J. Matt Rupar. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching Hometown Threads. And in the words of the great Roddy McCumber, bye for now, folks. Bye for now.
And that concludes another edition of Hometown Threads. Got a story for Keith? Reach out to him on Facebook by searching Keith C. Rice or email him at krice@hallradio.net. Don't forget to tune in next week on 14 WILI and 95.3 FM, as well as the Willimantic Today page on Facebook.